My journey back in 2012, late 2012. I basically woke up, one day and kind of like just realized that something wasn't right with me. I was gaining weight out of control. I had brain fog. I was just tired all the time. I wasn't sleeping well. And it got to a point where my hair just started falling out. I was in the shower and I was just basically lathering my hair as normal. And I just remember feeling this texture in my hands, and I'm looking down and then I see hair all over the bathtub, all over the shower curtains. And I'm like, wow, like this is not normal hair loss. And so that's kind of like what started my journey. That's what really prompted me to start looking into health. And when I first started going to doctors and I started talking to people, about everything that was going on, I was essentially told that I was going to have to take hormones for the rest of my life. And I chose a different path. Okay. I did not want that to be, the end of my journey. Like I didn't want to just, accept that as my faith, if you will. And so I went out and I started researching, for myself, other ways to, if I could just get my energy back, was really kind of like where it all started. And so as I started to research and learn more about all the issues that I was going through, I started to understand that a lot of my issues were gut related. And I had my epiphany when I realized that 80% of your immune system is your gut health, and 80% of your gut health basically depends on your gut flora, your probiotics. And the reason why that was such a huge epiphany for me was because my background is in brewing beer, and brewing beer, essentially what I did as a brewer was I was essentially growing probiotics. I will grow yeast and bacteria. That's what brewing beer is about. It's, the process of fermentation. You take yeast eat sugar and turn it into alcohol. If you're making sour beers, you're also taking bacteria like lactobacillus, which is a probiotic, and that's what sours up the beer. It's the same thing that sours up milk and makes yogurt and, sour cream and some of these other foods, that what makes sourdough sour, right? It's that process of fermentation. And so it was just such a huge awakening that I'm like, oh my God, like our gut is essentially like a fermentation vessel. And so I started to do things that I would normally do in the brewing process to basically restructure my gut flora. And so I started out by paying attention to the quality of water that I was drinking, the cleanliness of the equipment, right? So the cleanliness of your gut, the minerals, the pH, the temperature, and basically the gut flora, the bacteria, the probiotics are living in your gut. So ever since, I've been basically playing around with, different strategies and different things. And I basically, over the last 8 years, I've narrowed down my focus to, to this protocol, this roadmap that I'm about to show you right now, that not only has it helped me, but as you're going to see, it's helping a lot of people get more energy. It's helping people sleep better. And, as you progress through the program, you'll start to experience, other things like, like brain fog will start to kind of like clear up. So you'll be able to focus, concentrate more. Depression, anxiety tends to your mind just calms down. There's so many benefits that you're going to see from it. And again, I'm not a doctor, right? So none of this information is, intended to treat, cure, prevent, or diagnose any disease. I'm just a brewer that has a success story in health, and I want to share that with you. So with that being said, let me share my screen. And if you're excited about learning how to get more energy, let me know in the comments below. Say energy, because what I'm about to share with you is really going to be life-changing for some of you. All right, so check this out. I want to share with you a success story, and you can read it on inside of our Facebook group under units and the welcome post. And this success story is from Ina. Now, I asked Ina to actually share this success story for a reason. Ina, I've been working with Ina for a number of months now, And she started sending me a lot of emails, and a lot of these emails was basically this success story broken down into pieces, where she was like, wow, like I'm getting better sleep, right? It started out with going from like, I don't know where she started, like 3 or 4 hours to 5 hours, and then 6 hours, and now like it just starts to like get better and better. And I'm just thinking, it's like, wow, like if you share your success story, this is going to inspire a lot of people to actually go out and try, like what I teach. And so what I want to do is share her success story. And also, I asked her to send me her diet, because this is basically what I do for people, is I help people optimize their microbiome, optimize their gut health, and I do it through diet. Everything that I use is natural. Everything that I use is designed to get people off of supplements. I believe that health begins in the gut, and that food is the only thing that we need to be healthy, provided you learn what good food is for you. So that's what I'm going to be sharing with you today. So a couple things I want to point out, though, from her success story. You can read the whole thing later on, but what I want to point out is this part right here, where she says, the first step I decided to follow was the hydration protocol that I talk about, okay, which you're going to be hearing about, a lot, especially those of you who are going to be going through my Energy Bootcamp program. But basically, so she got trace minerals and started to take magnesium for the first time in her life, began to drink 2 liters of water as recommended. That's a starting point, right? And so she's talking about ionic magnesium, right? So ever since I started sharing my live videos, I was basically showing people, okay, everything that I do, go back to like what I learned from brewing beer. I wake up and I drink 1 quart of water every single morning. Now, in my Energy Bootcamp program, I'm going to go into more detail about water, right? There's a difference between tap water, filtered water, reverse osmosis water, distilled water, alkaline water, structured water. Water can get, pretty, complex. But for the purposes of this program, what I'm trying to get people to experience is hydration, is getting enough water in your system and enough minerals, which typically we would get from food, but because our soils are so depleted, I'm finding that people have to basically supplement with magnesium until they at least are mineralized. But here's the key thing. One thing that I want to point out is that she says, added the minerals to the water and took the first baby step. I didn't see any real change 3 weeks into the program. This is huge, okay? And the reason why I point this out, and I want to say that in one of her emails, she actually mentioned that it was actually closer to like 4 or 5 weeks, maybe even 6. But I point that out because a lot of people may try to drink water and hydrate, and they'll try it for a week or maybe 2 weeks, and they won't see results, and then they'll quit. And so the biggest message that I want to share with you today is to give this time, okay? It takes a long time for your body to dehydrate, and it's going to take time for it to rehydrate, okay? I would say that about 30 days is usually what I'm finding is the average, right? Which is why my hydration challenges that I'm going to be hosting are going to be 30 days, because that's what I'm finding people need. That's about how much time I'm finding that people need to actually experience and feel a difference when it comes to hydration, right? And this is just one step. Remember, I'm building you guys up one step at a time. Over the last 8 years, I've done so many things that if I try to throw everything at you, you're going to be overwhelmed. And so I'm breaking this down into as simple as possible, step by step, so you can get started. These minerals are cheap. Water, you already have access to water, hopefully. But it's something that everyone can do. And so it's the first step that, you want to take, right? This is what I walk people through all the time. Regardless, this is like the absolute beginning steps for pretty much everyone. From here, so you can say that, you can see here that, let's see, she was, so by week 5, I started to sleep 5 hours. 5 hours was a vast improvement but sleep was still very broken. It was during week 6, adding selenium and zinc to mineralization, that I felt a sudden improvement. It was incredible. So after 6 weeks of hydrating and remineralization, I'm sleeping 7 to 8 hours deeply a night now. That's huge. Okay, so 6 weeks. All right, so this is where she says 6 weeks is about how long it took her to build up to this much sleep. And understand that once you experience this, okay, there's a difference between trying to fall asleep and not having melatonin, so you wake up after only 3 to 4 hours. Some people, depending on how bad their gut issues are, some people may experience heart palpitations, hot flashes, or other things. But either way, the fact that if you're tossing and turning all night, when you experience this shift, okay, how many people will love to just be able to wake up and feel good for once? Right? This is basically the same process that I'm trying to share with you right now. It starts with hydration. And by the way, Ina has been noticing a lot of changes and benefits to hydration, to being hydrated and her skin. And, I do share some times like things that will, improve with that. But if you want to learn more about, skin, she's into it a lot. So I'm sure that she'll be more than happy to share some of her other tips that she's into with that. But lastly, she talks here about fermented cod liver oil, which, is what I use for boosting your immune system. And this is the other product that a lot of people, once they begin to take this, they begin to see a huge difference. And the thing is, these two products combined, the synergistic effect that they have on your immune system is essentially improved digestion. Ionic magnesium, like if you read the bottle here, cellular conductivity, energizing, aids metabolism. This is basically what drives digestion for you, right? And brewing beer, the way that I think of it is, you can't brew beer with just water, like pure H2O. You need to have minerals in order for digestion to occur, in order for you to convert the starches and grain into sugars that you can ferment to sugar. That's why you need minerals. Vitamin D, fermented cod liver oil, the reason why this is what I use for vitamin D as opposed to other vitamin D supplements, which most people tend to buy vitamin D supplements that measure vitamin D in IUs, like say 1,000 IUs, 3,000 IUs, 5,000 IUs. Those don't work, because if you have gut issues, your metabolism, your digestive system basically is not able to break down food, and it's not able to uptake the nutrients, right? Which is the reason why, some of the other products that I share, like coenzyme Q10, the Ayurvedic herbs and other things like that, I hold off on those, because until you're able to have your digestive system functioning properly, everything else isn't going to work, right? And this is why you hear a lot of times like, oh, do this, don't do that. And you try some things, and, some things that you try, like they just don't work. This is why, like, this is the order that I have people do it, is because this is what helps people improve their digestive system. Vitamin D is directly correlated to the strength of your immune system. Okay, the lower your vitamin D levels, the weaker your immune system. And that's one of the reasons why during this time that we're all experiencing, right? I mean, for those of you who may be watching this recording, I don't know how long down the road, it's April 2020, we're experiencing this pandemic. I'm loading up on vitamin D because this is what strengthens my immune system. And I'm going to share with you, diet-wise, what I do in order to improve my digestive system. So